So let's go straight to Paris now and see how the European markets are coping and talk to financial analyst Max Keiser. Max, how dependent are European economies on America?
Well, the banking system is dependent on the U.S. Banking system for sure. There's a lot of interbank relationships all over the world between Europe, America, and China. But ultimately, this is going to be America's game to lose. Ultimately, Asia can survive without America, and ultimately, we're going to find whether the Federal Reserve Bank itself is going to go the way of Lehman, Bear Stearns, AIG, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The United States Federal Reserve Bank itself is at risk of going under, and that means the America is at risk of repudiating or defaulting on its sovereign debt. That's what we're talking about. That's the risk.
And what are the implications of that for Europe?
Well, the implications for Europe are that the economy obviously will suffer a slowdown, but Europe is not nearly as leveraged as America. Once they get rid of all the bad debts on their balance sheets and they can return to their own knitting and continue to do business with China and continue to do business with the Middle East, they will recover and they're in better shape. Asia's in better shape. This is a global game of chicken, a global game of poker, and America's got the worst hand. Europe will have a downtick, but it's by far not as bad off as the U.S.
So you're saying that Europe will actually weather this crisis relatively well?
You know, I think more importantly, and more interestingly, perhaps, you mentioned 9/11 before, and the markets went down the most since 9/11 yesterday. You know, 9/11 was an interesting event because that was the time in American economic history when they should have allowed for a recession to take place. But Greenspan at that time decided that he didn't want to make it look like the attacks of 9/11 had anything to do with the American economy. So they moved interest rates down to 1%. And this created the real estate bubble, which then created the current crisis we're in today. So this is actually an effect of 9/11. If you want to look at it into the history of interest rates. Because America didn't want to appear weak. Remember, George Bush stood on the rubble at the Twin Towers and he said, "America, go shopping." And Alan Greenspan lowered interest rates because he didn't want to make it look like bin Laden had made the American economy slow down. Well, that was hubris. That was stupid. And now the economy is collapsing. So this is really the aftershock of 9/11. Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, AIG is the aftershock of the 9/11 attacks, and it's going to take America into an inflationary depression.
Max Keiser, appreciate your analysis there.